Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dom One. Welcome to another live stream. Support the content. Share this content with your friends, family, and followers. Please hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. That helps the channel when it comes to growth. All right. Follow me on social media. You know the handles. All right. So without further ado, this is gonna be like a review slash rant, and it's about a TV show called The 100. Maybe a lot of you guys don't recognize uh, the series such as The 100. It premiered on the CW, and I remember, and this is like 7 seasons. I think The 100 has 7 seasons, yeah. And it started initially as a as a fall lineup. It was in the fall lineup with television shows such as Supernatural, Arrow. A lot of these up and coming shows. Uh, and the 100 couldn't find its identity, couldn't find its way in the fall lineup. Since then, since the seasons have progressed on, the 100 has been, in the mid-season, the winter season, the summer season, and it had a constant change of when it premiered. It pretty much premiered on every single night on the CW. All right. So, and it couldn't find a real identity. Now, hardcore fans such as myself followed it, supported it as much as we could. But the 100 was slowly but surely dying. All right. Not a lot of people were into it because it wasn't a consistent show. Now, the 100, the premise of the show itself, it started off as these 100 teenagers that got sent down to Earth during a nuclear, well, let's just say nuclear weapons have radiated the Earth, and people were were living under caves and stuff, and then eventually they made their way into space because the Earth, because the Earth was just a big radioactive meteor, okay, and it took time for it to go back to its original form. So the older adults didn't want to jeopardize their lives to see whether or not Earth was healthy enough to live on. So they sent these 100 teenagers, and they were like the first explorers of Earth, right? And since then, the show has morphed into other things. Going back into space. The tension between the teenagers and the adults, a mutiny on the spaceship. They went back to the spaceship, trying to find another planet because Earth was dying and they couldn't live on it forever. So they started living on the space station. Then they started venturing out into the universe, exploring different planets to see if, finding a planet where they can, call their own. It morphed into a whole lot of other stuff. The Flame Keeper, how, that was a storyline. Who was going to be queen of such and such planet. The Dark Blood. Now, the final 2 seasons were like about finding this planet, and they can live on it. But the problem with this planet is it makes people go crazy, stir crazy, and they also had to deal with these a group of civilization of people that's they're like, no. I was like a hardcore fan of the 100, and and when you look at, and I just finished watching the final two seasons of it on Netflix. Now, there were a bunch of reports that suggest that Netflix may pick up the project and have a prequel to the 100 and only keep it around the core members. All right. The last tried to close a lot of scenarios, a lot of smaller storylines. They killed off a lot of characters. They killed off one favorable character that was there through the thick and thin. A lot of storylines didn't make sense in the last episode, and I feel like the reason why it didn't make sense in the last episode because they was rushing it through because CW was done with the 100, and now there's a possibility that Netflix may pick it up, but I wouldn't. If you're still a fan of the 100, I wouldn't be holding my breath. Okay, eventually the 100 it's going to fall in the waistline. I mean, of the wastebasket of a lot of potential shows that had so much potential, had so much talent as far as actors and actresses, and also had a cult following. It's one of those type of shows that it's not going to get picked up. I remember when Lost aired its final season, their season finale, and how the core fans were still hungry for Lost, and they were signing petitions and things of that nature to see if ABC can get Lost back. Unfortunately, Lost is still, I hate to say the word, lost, okay? So a lot of these core fans had to had to adopt other type of shows on these other networks. And the 100, with the 100, it had the potential of being something, of having its own identity, okay? The 100 didn't imitate any type of movie or television show. It didn't steal ideals from other, maybe Lost in Space, if you want to be technical about it. It had that type of element, if you want to get technical about it. But I wouldn't say it was original content, but it was close to being original content than anything else that's going on television. And a lot of these people, a lot of the core fan base wants Lost to come back on Netflix, and Netflix decided no. So here's my little rant about the Lost, particularly the last season. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to really go into full details about it, but it's one of the reasons. I think the last season is going to be the main reason why this show will not be picked up. And the only way you're going to watch the 100 are the reruns, all right? Maybe they'll come out with a Blu-ray box edition, behind the scenes, additional content, things of that nature. Maybe the 100 can live through blog posts, maybe, or Facebook groups of people that are still interested in the 100. But as far as it making its way on the small screen, just ain't happening, fam. It just ain't happening. Now, I was a fan of the 100. I don't know if the 100, like any other cult following series, it starts from novels, or novels are created from it, from the television show. I don't know if they have the 100 has novels where you can if you still enjoy the world of the 100, you probably can only be entertained by auto books and novels and things of that nature. All right. Now, there were rumors they were talking about making a movie, but I don't see that happening either. Okay. Now, I think the final season was the final straw for a lot of fans, such as myself, that were still clinging on to the 100. And how they did the final season, they didn't give the 100, they didn't do that show any type of justice. Yes, they closed a lot of loops on a lot of smaller stories, all right? So, since that was the final season, nobody can say, well, what happened to this? What happened to this person? What happened to that person? What about why were they arguing and the night blood? What about the night blood? Okay, so they closed a lot of doors on those smaller storylines. But by doing that, you only had one season to do it. You only had so few episodes. They were sort of rushing through it. Okay, and to me, that's where the 100 is going to fail, because anybody that was a diehard fan of this show, and expect and wants to put a lot of energy as far as getting this show back on the air, or maybe Netflix picking up the project, I think all that's been thrown out the window. Even the hardcore fan of the 100 is not really pushing for this show. And CW always had this. The CW always had this curse, so to say, where they'll have some great shows or great show ideals, and maybe the CW is a smaller network compared to ABC, CBS, or anything like that, but CW would do things that other networks wouldn't. All right, and a lot of these bigger networks will pick up what the CW doing, and then they'll try to form a show similar to that. All right, the CW was being bold and brave about superhero shows, and at one point, Supergirl was on CBS. All right, Marvel's not Marvel's Avengers, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that was on ABC. And then you had a possibility of another Marvel, and you had Marvel shows on Netflix. You had the possibility of having a DC show. Well, Constantine, that's a DC character. He was on NBC. So the CW, they decided, you know what, we're going to do things a little bit differently, right? And that's pretty much what the CW was known for. And a lot of people appreciate it. A lot of younger people appreciate CW bringing content that fits their world, okay? Now, me being an old head, I kind of enjoyed the 100. And yes, even though it was semi-original, it still stole some lines from, stole some ideals from Lost in Space or Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, especially when it was in space. I could see some elements taken from Star Trek, a little bit of Star Wars, but what other, with the climate that's going on today, even the best show on any network isn't really considered original. Even movies of today aren't really considered originals, okay? They're either remasters or an ideal that was famous in the 70s and 80s, and they brought it back with a new coat of paint and a different name, okay? So the 100, I feel like that last season, even though they closed a lot of loops, they closed a lot of storylines, that the last season fell far flat. And if any hope of them coming with a season 8 was died off in season 7. All right, I feel like the majority of people who were interested in the 100 them fell off of the 100. And they haven't even seen the last 3 seasons of it. I was in and out of the 100, and the final 4 seasons, I was just checking them out on Netflix. I would literally wait a year or so, and then I'll watch them later. Okay, and then I would just binge watch them. All right, and the 100, it had so much potential that first year, and how things change with the 100 now is well, not now, because The you know the last, I think, episode was in October, so of last year, I believe. So it's just a sad thing to see. This universe could have evolved into other things. They could have spawned other shows that's in the 100 universe. They could have done a movie or two about the 100, but it's just one of those things where I think a lot of people lost this interest in the 100 after season 3 or maybe 4, because they try to regurgitate the same premise of it from season 1, trying to make a connection from a story that happened 3 seasons ago. And then they started adapting other storylines like the Night Blood, trying to find another planet, uh, always a different villain that they have to deal with on a day in, day out basis. It was I hate for it to go. I don't think it really got a real good shot. I felt like if the 100 was on a bigger network and they stay consistent on what night it's going to premiere, I felt like this show could have had a lot of legs in front of it. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So that's my review of the 100. I wanted to do this last week because I binge watched the final 2 seasons of it, and it I mean, it just wasn't the same. And the way how they were closing storylines, and I mean, there was killing off characters that you constantly seen during the whole 100 uh, during its 7 seasons. They had one character, an actor, who left the 100 to start a new series that was on Fox, and I forgot the name of it. It was like, it's not called The Gifted. It was called something else, and he played a professor on that series. And I was going to try to check that series out on Hulu if it's available on Hulu. And I always wanted to see what it was about, because it was about it was just a weird concept. But he came back and made a cameo on the 100. So I mean, um, it is what it is, and I'm not too mad about the 100. I'm not raging on how they ended the 100. It was just, to me, uh and a lot of this had to do with the timing. If they didn't I think CW gave them a fair one and just say, look, y'all only got one more season. Y'all need to just tie all this stuff up. The bigger networks would have just let them do business as usual, and then die off this, say that they're not picking up the season, and now you're in the middle of something and they haven't even closed a lot of doors or a lot of storylines or anything like that. But I think the CW was very good with the 100. The CW really, that show was supposed to have ended seasons ago, and for them to stay true to them, say, you know what, let's just finish this thing out. I think the CW gave the 103 more seasons that they really didn't deserve, because it was just spiraling into different things. And I mean, it was just a weird format. The first season 1 and 2 were decent. Season 3 was mediocre. But then when you move past 5, 4, 5, and 6, it was just a bunch of what we're doing here. Okay, so I appreciate the CW allowing the producers, the directors, the writers, the actors and actresses to finish off the 100 properly. Not a lot of shows get that opportunity to finish a season out and close out the stories. A lot of shows will just it be is over. Okay, and they don't even get enough chance to say thank you. The way how they ended it, everybody was back on the original Earth, and the original Earth has grown and grew. No more radiation. It's not dying no more, and everyone lives happily ever after. But they lost a few people along the way that was in the core group, but still, nevertheless, the majority of them, life lives on. So a lot of people can get some satisfaction on those characters, you know, living their best life. Okay, so and, it is what it is. I just had to talk about it. Maybe a lot of people don't really care about the 100. I cared about the 100 for like the first 4 seasons, and I said to myself I had to do a review on this. If you haven't seen the 100, all 7 episodes are on Netflix right now. You can go check them out if you want to. But it's your boy. I'm up out of here. I'll holler at y'all guys later. Deuces.